Hey, what's good, everyone? It's me, Double, and today I'm checking out the Donner Pocket Go. This is the first product that Donner sent to me to check out for the channel. They didn't pay me. They haven't paid me for the review or anything. Just wanted to know my opinions of it. And I've checked out a few items like this. It uses the MEFCS software. I always forget the order of those letters, and I had to look at it before I say it. And it's, pretty common software. I've checked it out in a bunch of other videos. What does that mean? It means that we can use the AM3 data files for amps. They've got all sorts of import options going on in here. Okay, it's a cool little unit. It's not huge. It is about the size of your pocket. It might stick out a little bit. I really don't think anybody's going to stick it in their pocket, but you can take it on the go. I've been sitting here checking out a bunch of the sounds. As with a lot of these devices, the internal ones, you got to kind of work with. But the nice thing about this is there is such a massive selection of files now that this software will work with, including conversions for the NAM files, the NAM captures that people have been putting up on Tone Hunt or Tone Net 3, whatever that NAM capture site is now calling itself this month. They have a bunch of those up there that you can convert and put into this here software. Everything's immovable. You can do this on your phone. My Android phone, this really cheap one that I have, was not cutting it for the MEFCS software. So I actually just have it running on my computer, but it did work fine with my iPhone. If we look at the blocks that we have, the effects that we can work with, our first one is an FX block, and it's really just noise gate or boost with a noise gate or compression with a noise gate, and you can move that anywhere. It would be nice to see a couple of overdrive options with the noise gate in there, something where we get a little more control over the input gain or the texture of the guitar sound. But boosting a kind of gained up amp already will kind of give you overdrive. We get what we get with this thing, and for 60 bucks, it's not bad. These little devices are pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of amplifiers in here. I'll take a look. I'll just kind of scroll through the amps that are in here right now. You got twin, AC type, Marshall, a bunch of Marshalls, Engel. These are all your guys, Fort and Cali, all that good stuff. And there's some bass ones in there as well. Probably look familiar to many people. There's chorus, phaser, tremolo, flanger, vibrato, univibe, or an auto filter, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen that in one of these yet. 5 different delay types: analog, ducking, digital tape, dual, 2 delays going on, and then lo-fi, degraded texture. Bunch of different reverbs: room, hall, swell, spring, shimmer, and cloud. I like the cloud reverb. The best for that ethereal stuff. Shimmer used to be one of my favorites, but now I like the cloud stuff. And of course, a whole bunch of cabinets already preloaded in here, as well as the last 5 reserved for base cabinets, just like the amp section. You can overwrite them with anything, which I'm probably going to start doing pretty soon. Why don't I get into a couple of the tips and how to make this sound a little bit better? Because right off the bat, if you're kind of a high gain player, you might notice a little something. It's not bad, but to me, the cabinet needs a little work. Look, this one already, it has 300 low cut. So if you go over here and open up the low cut a little bit, maybe bring it down to something a little more guitar friendly, like 60, 70, something like that. This low cut was dialing out all the low end. And then we probably are going to want to bring this high cut around to at least 6K, right? Much more manageable like that. And then, of course, you can save this preset as it is, or you can save it to a different one. I'll just go ahead and save it to that because now it already sounds a little better to me. You see, that one's got a lot of that going on. And if you have to tune, there's a tuner right here. I literally just tuned a second ago, but we'll just give it a quick look. Real easy to read, that tuner. I still feel like I'm a little bit out of tune, so I won't dig in too much to playing. So I could go in and kind of mix and match the different cabinets and kind of find something that I like. Or one of the greatest features of using the MEF CS base units, such as this Donner Pocket Go, you can come over here to the cab and amplifier section. I've already grabbed a couple of different amp and a different cab just to try out. I'll have a bunch of my captures. Here's some AM2, an older AM2 capture that I have of a 5150 preamp with no cabinet on it. And if I go and hit audition, I'm listening to that amp, and I can increase the gain. Let's say I decide I really like that one, but I don't want to overwrite any of the guitar preamps in there. I'm just going to go ahead and overwrite this bass preamp that's in there, save that to number 20. So that's one of my preamps with no cabinet on it. And then that way I can still come over to the cabinet, audition it, and then save that to the device. And I'll do the same thing. I'll save this under number 20. You have to make sure you use an MEFCS version 1.10.21 in order to see the Pocket Go. I would really like to know if that worked. Did I save these things properly? Yes. Okay, so it looks like it just didn't automatically bring those new amps that I saved in until I actually had to restart it. So if you're going to do this a few times, if you're going to add a whole bunch of stuff, just go ahead and add it and then turn the unit on and off and on and then on again, whatever. Restart the unit and then you'll see your stuff here. So now I should be able to pull up pretty much the sound that I had before. I'm going to turn that chorus off. Oh, loud. Yeah. So probably could still bring that high cut, yeah, because this one had the high cut. So I have the boost on. I can turn that off. So then you might be noticing the next concession that you get with the device like that's using the MEFCS software. Unfortunately, there's a dropout when you turn effects on and off. Now, for me, not really a big deal when I'm using something like this because I'm pretty much just setting up a device and taking it with me and just dialing in a couple of sounds that I really like. I'm not performing with it. If you're going to perform with it, something to consider is that you are going to hear a dropout If you're the kind of person that engages effects mid-part, you're going to get quiet for a second and then get louder while that thing comes back in. It's just part of how this is. It's unfortunate that they haven't been able to kind of update the software or the devices to that point of not having quite that amount of dropouts. But I can now feel like I can play without that real hissy sound that was in a bunch of the presets. That said, a bunch of the clean presets in here sound really, really good. They already sound really good. And so that's cool. But for me, I like to be able to kind of, make my high gain sound like me, the way that I like to sound, not necessarily the way something might think I want to sound. So this little guy, even though you might plug it in and immediately pull up a high gain sound and go, oh, I can't use this. There's already tweaks you can do. Bringing in the cabinet high cut, bringing that down to a realistic range. We're not producing 18K in a way that we need to hear it, but it's still coming through out of these devices. So we need to trim it down and make it a little more usable, adjusting the levels, adjusting the gain, kind of getting in there to a sound that you like and tweaking it out a little bit. You can really make this sound pretty good right off the bat. You really want to dig in. There's tons of preamps and cabinets that are online that you can throw in here. Almost any IR file will work. I'm just using free ones that I got off of whatever, the Origin Effects. Right, okay, I have some Origin Effects cabinets. I found those. I'll leave a link to a bunch of my AM2 captures that are on a Google Drive. I'll link that down in the description, as well as a link to grab yourself a Pocket Go from Donner. I'm pretty sure I'll have an Amazon link, maybe even a link to their website. If you haven't heard of Donner, I mean, come on, then you haven't really been looking at budget pedals for a while. Thank you, Donner, for sending this along, because I like a lot of these devices. I'm really hoping that one day something like this comes out with just absolute seamless transitions. I mean, that's a lot to ask for, though. That really is, out of a small thing like this. Even my HX Stomp, when you move from one preset to another, it gets that kind of a dropout. So it's not like this is the only device that does that. It's just one of the issues that this one faces. Build a couple pedals around it if you're the kind of person that likes to augment your sounds during the chorus. You want to do this at the verse, you want to do this or that before a solo. You might need a couple of extra pedals if you plan on using this live as an amp and cabinet bass. It's awesome. Just set up an amp and a cabinet, maybe even a little bit of reverb, and that's your set and forget, then put a couple of other pedals around it. You've got a fully fledged live rig right there, especially if you sit and tweak it with some cabinet files or the way that you like it. Pressing the first two buttons will bring you down banks. So I was in 1, now I will go down to 7. It won't change until you actually select which one of the patches you want. Pushing these two will send you back up. So we go up to like number 3, see what we got in here. So it looks like 6 and 7 are going to be the those bass patches. Oh, of course, I've already turned one of them into a guitar patch by overwriting the amp there. So that's how that is. Just remember, if you save stuff you're going to be overwriting, you can always hit this button and do the restore. And if you're plugging this in as an interface, you do get this loop back option so that the audio that plays through your computer is also coming back through there. I'll turn that off because I already have an interface. To get the appropriate version of the MEFCS software, you have to go to this particular site, and of course it gives you a warning that it's, you know, unsafe. I always just click on it. You know, that's, use your own discretion, but I'll leave that link below. You're going to go ahead and grab the version for Windows or Mac. In the manual for the Pocket Go, you'll also get a QR code that you can scan that will take you on your phone to the app that you can install for your phone if you want to do all this via Bluetooth and do it wirelessly, which is, you know, a bigger plus. It all just kind of lives in a folder and the application runs from that folder. So I've never been able to install it. Windows will protect your PC from it. You can click on the button as if it was the like button, and you will then see the Pocket Go appear here. And then you can also really get even deeper with this guy if you do the AN software. There's a bunch of videos on getting AN, the Cinco AN app going, but it's basically a training program. And it gives you all sorts of different options. You can train pedals, you can train preamps, you can convert the NAM files to AM3 files. So you can go to that Tone Hunt website and grab NAM files and then convert them with this Cinco AN app into an AM3 file. If you want a further in-depth look at the updated version of this software of the AN processing and how we go about doing captures, leave me a comment below and I'll do another video featuring just that process. I've done it in other videos, but I know that it's changed around and I don't think I've covered the newest ones. And in fact, I have captured my crate power block. Somebody requested that I go ahead and do that, so I did. I captured it through NAM, and then I have converted it to AM3 files. So there'll be, right now I think I only have the crunchy version captured and transferred over. But the link below, I'll just keep updating that with everything that I get. I have a cleaner version of the crate, and I have a bunch of other NAM captures that I have grabbed. I'll just keep updating that Google folder that's in the link in the description. And that way you guys can just kind of keep checking it out and seeing what I've done until you start doing it yourself. Because it's actually really easy to use this Cinco AN software and do all of this stuff. Once you kind of get used to all of the tricks, there's some naming tricks, there's some placement of the folder tricks. But other than that, it's pretty simple and works well. So as I mentioned, the Donner Pocket Go can use AM3 data files. It can also use AM2 data files. It's just a different processing routine. That's actually what I have a lot more of. A little tip, if you import them from the Google Drive down below, you may need to bring up the level on the amps. I'll just show you, like when you grab it, it defaults to 100. 101 will work for right now. And so I'm auditioning it right now, and I can bring that level up. And it's currently just using the cabinet that is on this patch while I audition it. I think it's really handy that they give you that option on the import to just go ahead and increase the overall level of it, and then you tweak it in the patch at the amp volume. So thank you guys for watching all the way through to the end of this video, and thank you, Donner, for sending the Pocket Go along. Pretty cool.